According to Aristotle, man is by nature a political animal. Why did the father of political science utter such a statement? Why did he say that man is a political animal? And what do you think did he mean by this? The inclination and interest of people toward anything political is based on the fact that individuals are inherently social. Unlike other species, humans rely on social interactions to survive. Politics is byproduct of human interactions in the society. According to Haywood, he defined politics as an activity that involves the interaction of people whose relationship is characterized by conflict and cooperation, and who come together to solve such disagreements through binding solutions. However, politics cannot be considered a one-size-fits-all straitjacket in seeking solutions to social ills. There are disagreements that remain as such. The study of politics concerns the life of every individual in the community. The individual is affected by policies and rules created and implemented by the government. He or she exercises power in forming relationships with government and other people, and also in making decisions in life. The value of politics is embedded in the way the individual conducts his or her daily life. So, what makes social interaction a political one? Any form of social interaction that involves the art of government, public affairs, compromise and consensus, or power and distribution of resources is political. Political science came from the Greek word polis, which means city or sovereign state. Science from sire, which means to know or to study. So we can define political science. It is the study of state and government. It tackles about the ideas underlying its organization, activities. It is also a social science discipline concerned with the study of the state and politics. It is also concerned chiefly with the description and analysis of political and governmental institutions and processes. We can study political science through the behavioralist approach, phenomenological approach, structural functional approach, studying political ideas or philosophical approach, studying political documents, as well as the study of political future. Approaches to defining politics. Politics is associated with an arena or location, in which case behavior becomes political because of where it takes place. It is a sphere of intense political activity. It is called the arena approach. It follows formalistic conception of politics. It limits politics to the state and all its instrumentalities and related institutions, its hierarchy of offices and personnel, laws and policies. It also covers activities and actions that are sanctioned by the state, for example, elections. The arena approach is also associated with a narrow sense of political party and or electoral politics. Elections serve as the mechanism whereby citizens get the chance to be involved in the election of individuals who will hold public office either at national or local levels. Ideally, when citizens vote in elections, they both exercise their right of suffrage and perform their civic duty as a citizen. The process approach also emphasized politics viewed as a mechanism in which case political behavior is a behavior that exhibits distinctive characteristics or qualities and so can take place in any and perhaps all social contexts. Politics in this sense is not limited to formal political institutions of the state but extends to include other institutions within the society such as family, the church, and other parts of the society. The process approach puts premium on the activity of governing or governance. That is how decisions are made and executed for a society. It viewed the rule and interactions of both formal and informal institutions
and processes in decision making. Informal institutions and political actors like civil society, social movements, non-government organization, people's organizations, advocacy group, Catholic Church, religious organizations, labor groups, sector-based organizations. The process approach considered both the formal political arena and the informal processes surrounding it, that is, the corridors of power. Politics still focuses on the state government and policies. It encompasses two broad types of actions or activities: those authorized by the state and those that challenge the state. It also focused on organized protest, rebellion, and other activities is sanctioned by the state, while the second set aims to contest the powers of the state. Using the process approach, the decision-making process and outcomes are understood to be the function of the intersection of state institutions. With all these informal institutions and actors and the negotiation of their similar and or opposing interests that lead to actual laws and policies that are binding to all. Politics as the art of government. This is a state-centered view of politics. Politics, what governments or states do. This means that most people, most institutions, and most social activities can be regarded as being outside politics. Businesses, schools, and other educational institutions, community groups, families, and so on are in this sense non-political. It is an art because it concerns the affairs of the state. It focuses on the personnel and machinery of the government. Niccolo Machiavelli wrote the book The Prince in 1531, which developed a realistic account of politics, which is they called realpolitik, which was followed by Clausewitz and Otto von Bismarck. According to this idea, in the Machiavellian subsequently came to represent the principles of Machiavelli in realpolitik. It has been used in a pejorative sense to describe those who prefer expediency to morality and practice duplicity in statecraft or in general conduct. According to Lord Acton, power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Politics as a public affairs is the second broader conception of politics, moves it beyond the narrow realm of government to what is thought of as public life or public affairs. In the words, the distinction between the political and non-political coincides with a division between an essentially public spheres of life and what can be thought of as a private sphere. When politics is public affairs, it is conducted of management of public interest and public political affairs. Public emphasize the state apparatus of government, politics, commerce, work, art, culture, and so on. According to Aristotle again, in politics, Aristotle declared that man is by nature a political animal, by which he meant that it is only within a political community that human beings can live the good life. From this viewpoint, then politics is an ethical activity concerned with creating a just society. It is what Aristotle called the master science. The third conception of politics relates to the way in which decisions are made. Especially, politics is seen as a particular means of resolving conflict, that is by compromise, conciliation, and negotiation, rather than through force and naked power. Politics becomes the process of conflict resolution. That is why the third is politics as compromise and consensus. In this view, the key point to politics is a wide dispersal of power, accepting that conflict is inevitable and social groups possess and compete for power. They must be conciliated. They cannot merely be crushed. It also attempts to resolve conflict through discussions, bargain, and consensus, wherein people arrive at a binding decisions. That solution to the problem of order which chooses conciliation rather than violence and coercion. Therefore, consensus is politics. The last view of politics is politics as power and the distribution of resources. At its broadest, politics concerns the production, distribution, and the use of resources in the course of social existence. Politics is in essence power, the ability to achieve a desired outcome through whatever means. This notion was neatly summed up in the title Harold Laswell's book, Politics: Who Gets What, When, and How, in 1936. From this perspective, politics is about diversity and conflict, but the essential ingredient is the existence of scarcity. The simple fact that while human needs and desires are infinite, the resources available to satisfy them are always limited. Politics can therefore be seen as a struggle over scarce resources and power, and can be seen as the means through which this struggle is conducted. Power is the ability to influence the behavior of others to get what you want. Power is the ability to have others do something, whether they like it or not. It often connotes sanction for those who will not abide. The government is an instrument of the state through which the will of the people is expressed, carried out, and formulated. Thus, the government serves as the bridge that connects the people to the state. Terms state and government are commonly used interchangeably, but in strict political science terms, they definitely have two different meanings. At present, the concept of government and governance are often used with confusion to a certain extent. As an institution, it is the government which concretizes the policies and addresses the problems of the state. On the other hand, good governance arises when the government involves the people in its agenda and in the process of policy making. The extent, therefore, to which democratic participation is encouraged determines whether or not governance exists. Governance may also mean how well the government performs its function. Like, for example, delivery of basic services. Governance is an innovative and ideal product of reforming modern states. It requires the interaction among the government, civic organizations, and citizens in managing the public arena. The government should not be left alone in assuring the achievement of human welfare. The government is experiencing different challenges. Like, for example, corruption. So when we say corruption, according to Investopedia, it says that corruption is a dishonest behavior by those in positions of power, such as managers or government officials. Corruption can include giving over or accepting bribes or inappropriate gifts, double dealings, under-the-table transactions, manipulating elections, diverting funds, money laundering, and defrauding investors. Criminalization of politics is a political buzzword not just in the United States but also in the Philippines. It is used in media, by commentators, bloggers, as well as by defenders or high-ranking government officials who have been indicted or have faced criminal or ethical investigations. Racial exclusion is just like racial discrimination, especially in politics. For example, in the United States before, if you are black, if you are a nigger, or a certain race, you are not allowed to be part of the election. process. Nepotism, in the other hand, it gives emphasis to favoritism shown to relatives or close friends by those with power or influence. So if you are the president, you are going to put your relative to be the secretary, to be the general of a certain army, and others. Another problem for governance is the increase of population. So the more people in a certain nation, the more the government needs funds to feed these people. That's the problem. So more people, that means more burden. Another one is religious fundamentalism, like terrorism. Some of the terrorists, they are fundamentalists of their own religion to the point that they were ready not to die for what they believe in. That is one of the main problem of the world today, terrorism.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.